everybody. So just want to talk to you guys today about Hawaii a little bit and the events in my life that led me there. Shout out to Stern for taking the surf and turfing part. Originally was going to be some disposition management, but given where I'm working, it's pretty short. I'm just going to really transfer people out. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about this island right here. This is Ponape with, you can see Soka's Rock right there. That's a place I spent a year at and kind of gave me my love for the island. So why Hawaii? This all started out essentially after my sophomore year of undergrad. Me and my best friends were all pre-med. We were getting really sick of studying and wanted to just kind of get out, do something different for a year. So we started looking at a bunch of different opportunities that were out there and ended up landing some teaching jobs out in this island called Ponape. It's a pretty small island. It's in the middle of the Pacific. We really didn't know much about it until we got there. We did know a few things. The surf was really good, but besides that, we were going with an open mind, just hoping we could go make a difference. This is where it is, just in respect to the rest of the world. It's just that little dot in the middle of the Pacific. It takes actually, to get to it, you got to go to Hawaii, and then you take this island jumper plane that goes through like 5 different islands to get there. It takes like, I think, about 12 hours from Hawaii. It's not that far. It's just, you got to land and drop people off on the way. So just a little bit about its history. It's actually pretty cool. It's the capital of the federal states of Micronesia. It is one of 4 island states. There's 3 others called Yap, Kwajalein, and Chuuk. We didn't go to those islands very much just because they're actually kind of violent. We actually had a teacher die the year we were out there on Yap, which is pretty sad. But we felt safe. We didn't really have much worry about going out in the middle of the night in any part of the island. We really enjoyed the locals and just had a good time. 128 square miles. You could essentially go around the island in about an hour and a half on a scooter, which we did a few times. It's pretty fun. The population is about 36,000, and it's actually one of the most rainiest places in the world, with about 300 inches of rain per year in the mountain peaks. A little bit about the history. This is Namadal. This is a really cool place we got to visit. It's on kind of the eastern south part of the island. It was a capital in 1628 where the population was about 25,000. There's like a legend that these massive rocks that ironically are only in this part of the island were built by 2 like sorcerer brothers. There's all these legends around it. So take that for what you will, but it was a pretty cool place to visit. And it wasn't actually declared a National Historical Landmark until 1985. There was, when we went to visit, I don't know what that really means because there's really nothing has changed there. It's like you pay $10 to a king for the region and you just have free reign of the place. There's no booths or tolls, you can just run all over it and just kind of enjoy it. So here's a few pictures. This is what it looked like in its prime. There was all these like little island-made reefs and rocks and buildings on it that had, when we were there, were mostly destroyed. You can see just parts of it in this picture here on the right. This is a picture of me and my adopted family. Desiree and Brittany were my adopted sisters out there. We had a really good time just getting to know them and hanging out with them. They really made it a special place. A little cool other stuff about the history is really first contact with European or documented history was in 1529 when Alvador de Salvadera, I'm saying that right, discovered this island on his way back from Spain. He was met with hostility from the locals and didn't stay very long. The Spanish took over the island in 1886, and then it was taken or given to the Germans in 1898. After World War I, at the Treaty of Versailles, Japan took over the island, and the history does get a little darker during that time. During World War II, most of the native Ponapean population was actually enslaved and forced to build bunkers. You can see here, this is a cannon that's actually pointing at P Pass where we surfed most days. So any ship that would come through there would get shot at. And just kind of a view from the back of it here. And that was an anti-aircraft gun that was just nearby. Again, none of this is preserved. You get to just visit it. No one's taken any sort of way to preserve it or anything. It's just kind of been overgrown by the islands, and there's a bunch of these cool, you can see me kind of creeping back there. There's all these cool bunkers and tunnels that you get to crawl in and visit. Not sure how safe they are, but there's just a lot of cool spots to explore, get a little bit of World War II history. So here's what I actually did out there, besides playing, was I was a high school teacher. I taught calculus, algebra 2, and computers. We actually had a pretty nice computer lab, given where we were in the world. I was also the junior class sponsor. They even let me take the kids for a few camping trips overnight. I don't know which parents are trusting with their kids, but you know, they all made it back safely. And just a few shots here about just the stuff we did. This is my best friend Mark and me scuba diving. He's not my brother-in-law, thankfully. Did some kayaking, and then this is just a shot of one of my other best friends, Michael, getting probably one of the best waves of his life. So now, little background now. I'm ending up in Kauai in a few weeks. Just want to share with you where I'm going to work and just some of the nuances of practicing there. So I work in 2 small hospitals. First is going to be in Kapaa. It's a 3-bed ER. And then this other one down here in Waimea, which is an 8-bed ER. Yeah. And we'll probably live somewhere in between, still looking for a place. So a little bit about LLUEMx. First, when I heard about this place, I thought it's a Kauai Veterans Memorial Hospital. I thought it was another VA, so that was a little scary. But it's not, thank goodness. It was actually named in honor of the veterans from the Korean War, so nothing to do with the VA. That's the 8-bed ER. That's the big place I work at. We got radiology, general surgery, ICU, which is run by hospitalists. We help out with lines and tubes in there, and then OB-GYN and pediatrics, and that's really about it. We actually have quite a bit of ophthalmology help, which is nice. Big plus for that. And here's the place I actually visited first when I went out in December. This one is Samuel Memorial Hospital over in Kapaa. It's got 3 beds. It's got a SNF. But yeah, I don't know. But we do have inpatient adult psychiatry, so that's a small win. Radiology, and then maybe a couple medicine beds coming soon. But it's really cool. Like when I visited, we have all point-of-care labs, X-ray. We have a CT scanner coming, but we have a slit lamp. We have, you know, pretty much like all the stuff we're used to here. We have a lot of cool like tools to use. I think that's probably due to Travis, my future boss. He's really done a good job there to make sure we have everything we need just to practice and take care of patients there. So now we just want to share a few things that we need to learn. Just, you know, practicing in the Inland Empire, I haven't seen a lot of the stuff that I'm going to see out there, so just wanted to take you guys through a few of the cool disease processes I'm going to see out there. So leptospirosis, had to look this one up. Haven't really thought about it since med school. So it's a spirochete. 50% of U.S. cases are actually in Hawaii. It's really rare still in the U.S., but Hawaii does get most of them. It's really when you get exposed to like, so rats have it, and then livestock and farm animals get exposed from the rat, and then if you ingest like bad meat or contaminated like water, feces, get exposed to that, that's how you can get this. About 2 to 26 days is the incubation period. Most cases are pretty mild. You just get like fevers, headache, some muscle aches, and that's about it. But you can get something more serious called Veal's disease. You get jaundice, renal failure, like an aseptic meningitis, pulmonary hemorrhage, and myocarditis. You can see this guy here. It's conjunctival suffusion, which is about in 55% of patients. It's just conjunctivitis where you don't get exudates, essentially. It's kind of pathognomonic for it, but it's not always seen. Pretty much just treat it with some penicillin or doxy or Rocephin. Penicillin is the first line. Now these two, we always have on boards, but I get them confused every time. So Ciguatera, this is actually, so I think of C for like coral reefs, kind of. It's more of the fish that actually live on the coral reef, like your barracuda, grouper, your amberjack, your parrotfish. And what happens is they ingest a heat-stable toxin on the coral reefs, and then if you eat that fish, then you get essentially that heat-stable toxin will essentially wreak havoc in your body for a little bit. You'll get a bunch of neuro symptoms, so like reversing of hot and cold, ataxia, paresthesia, and sometimes it's rare, but you can actually get like bradycardia and heart block from it. Most of the treatment is just supportive, you know, for bradycardia, get atropine. Go from there. Strombolids is a little bit easier to recognize. It's just like your typical allergic reaction here, which most of us know. You can get it. This is more for like, I think of S for like sea fish that are deeper in the water. I don't know. It's like your tuna, your bluefish, mahi-mahi, all the good stuff we like to eat. And this essentially just gives you like an allergic reaction where you give antihistamines and just epi if you need it, but it's pretty rare to get that far. Jellyfish is always a good one. You get these little nematocysts that release barbs into your skin, and you can see what it looks like there. You get all the tentacles and stuff. I got actually exposed to this when I was in Mexico surfing. It got wrapped around my Apple Watch and stung me a little bit. But really the bad one is the box jellyfish in Australia in the Indo-Pacific region. That actually has an anti-venom if you get a hold of it, and that's really deadly. Hopefully we don't have too many of those out there. Treat is going to be, key is hot salt water, not just like fresh or tap water, because if you have like tap water, it'll cause an osmotic gradient and actually cause the nematocytes to discharge even more. So just also don't pee on your friends. It doesn't really work. And mainly treatment's just supportive. You can do topical lidocaine to dry the wound. Lastly, I just wanted to share one. This is what my future boss Travis calls the Hawaii trifecta. Is he got to see actually all three of these in a day. Is when you get a fish hook injury, which we've got some training on. But there's actually a lot of boar and deer hunting in Hawaii. So if you get too close to one of these boars, you can see their tusks right there. So you can actually get pretty messed up from those big tusks. So that's another thing we'll be seeing. And then rooster spur injuries are a lot more common than you would think. There's quite a bit of cockfighting out there, and your patients will inevitably get in the middle of their roosters upon time upon. So that's some of the stuff I get to see out there and just have to brush up on. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope to see some of you guys out there.